All right, here's your Saturday jumpers run. I think he looks pretty good, Polly. I mean, I think he, I think he looks a lot better than he used to. I mean, he's running. His ears are up. I don't know. It's not. He never trotted a single time. Okay, so I think I think you need to fight to do some blinds. I mean, you think he's so slow and everything. Well, then do some blinds instead of that rear. And the rear you did, so look how far ahead you are, and now like you're like where you need to be doing a rear cross, but you're like a whole like space ahead of your dog. So then that forces you to do this massive decel in here and then cut behind him, and then you have to push him out to the triple. So that sort of stuff is I'm not saying it's demotivating, but to some dogs it can be demotivating because right now you're basically saying we're running this way, and I'm going to stay on this side because I'm ahead of you and I'm running full speed. But then what happens is you get up here and you slow down and you do this massive decel, and you're now telling him, no, we're going to go this way, when back here he was convinced he was going that way. And then he does this turn, and he kind of turns like this, which he should with the way you did the rear cross, but now you're like, no, go that way. So that sort of stuff, could be demotivating for a dog. And I know, and it's great you start with him, but you could have started a little bit more over here, kind of like more how you do a Zeke, you know. And you could have done a blind. I mean, you took off and ran. You could have done a blind between those two, and it would have eliminated this decel and then cutting behind him and then re-pushing him out. And I have the sound turned down so I can't hear, but because you had to push him that way over because you had to sort of push him out to the triple, he kind of this is exaggerated, but he sort of takes it that way. And then I don't know if you called him, but then he has to do a pretty hard turn to come back this way. Whereas if he had, could have taken the triple a lot straighter, then the turn would have been a lot easier, if that makes sense. Because he lands pretty straight and then has to do like a 90-degree turn. That blind is lovely. Now, I don't think he knew there was a turn coming. You're just, you're stopped, I guess, and that gives him some information. And you're kind of, well, no, you're pretty close to the jump. But I think you could have done exactly what you did, but had a little outside arm. Not huge turning cues. I don't think he needs like a ton of turning cues, but just something so that he knew that you wanted him to come this way. And I mean, and he does it, but I can tell he didn't know because he takes the jump straight and he lands kind of hard. See that? And he's got to kind of dig in to make the turn. And so he turned really tight, so it's like you don't want to, when you cue a turn, you don't want to, you want to use sort of mild turning cues, I think, because he does turn really tight when you ask him to. So, anyway, if that makes sense. And here you don't, you don't really connect. I mean, you're looking back, and I'm sure you can see him, and you probably thought he was coming, but then, and I can see him back there, but then you turn your head away because you're trying to do a blind, I see. But I think you just turned your head away at the wrong time. And I think it's fine that you wanted to do the blind there, but I might have run out a little bit straighter before I did it instead of doing it on such a, I don't know, just because the dog's coming out and then they kind of had to cut back to take the double. It's exaggerated again, but you know, they weren't just coming out and like perfectly lined up for the double. So you kind of had to work that a little bit more, and I think you just changed sides too soon. And maybe a front would have been better there because you could have kept your eye on him the whole time, you know? And then made sure that they got the turn. That was really nice. I think you could have cued this turn sooner, your lateral motion. You do the lateral motion right here, but he's in the air. You have your outside arm up, but it's barely up. It's like your hand is up. So, I mean, I think like right in here, I would have picked one because I think doing the outside arm and the lateral motion probably would have pulled him off the jump. And it can be something you can experiment with, like when you're going to do this lateral send sort of thing. And because of the way the course was, you weren't able to be like right up at this jump because we were like falling behind by that time. But I don't think he really knew. I think he knew he wasn't coming to this jump because you were still back here and you weren't driving forward. But see how perpendicular to the bar he is when he takes it, so he didn't know there was a turn. And then he kind of digs in and he figures out that you want him to do this, and he does it nicely. He adds a stride, he looks happy to do it. I think it's good. I think you just need to work on making sure that your motion and your cues are correct and that you're not sort of cueing one thing and then at the last minute changing your mind. I mean, I know that's not what you're doing, but from his point of view, you know, okay, we're going straight. Oh, no, wait, now she's decelerating and we're turning. You know what I mean? So I think that sort of thing will help him with his confidence and whatever. I don't even know if he has a confidence issue, but I thought he looked really good.